What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kid Vision. Welcome back. This is a very special video. As you can see by the title, I'm going to be ranking my top 10 albums of 2023. It's that time of year. I did this last year with my top 10 albums and top 10 songs, so you can keep a lookout for my top 10 songs video coming out in a couple days. But yeah, we're going to do the albums today, and this year was crazy. If you're familiar with the channel, you know I react to a lot of different genres of music, and I think this list definitely reflects that. So yeah, I just wanted to start off with some honorable mentions. 4 out of the 5 of these albums in my honorable mentions are just too fresh to tell if they would be my favorite of the year. They haven't grown on me as much as some of these other ones because they either just dropped or I haven't listened to them enough, but I respect them. So the oldest album that came out on this list is Hope by NF. This album I didn't even like at first, just because I think NF's getting to a point in his career where it's kind of getting stale. Like, I kind of know what to expect going into an NF album, but he definitely turned it up a notch as I listened to it more and more over the course of the year. Also, a big factor for me liking this album so much is because I actually went to a show in Minneapolis, and the tour was for this album, and so I have very fond memories of some of the songs on this album with my friends there. So that's definitely why it grew on me as well. Second honorable mention has been out for a while as well, but it is kind of like a deluxe, so I didn't know if I should count it or not, so I put it as an honorable mention. It's Call Me If You Get Lost, the Estate Sale. So it's technically the deluxe, but there's a lot of songs on it, so it's not really a deluxe. But yeah, just timeless songs in my opinion. I think Tyler, the creator, is one of the GOATs at this point. Never drops a bad album. Even Cherry Bomb, even though a lot of people consider that a flop, it definitely pushed the genre forward, I think. And he took a risk, and some of the songs on there slap. So yeah, no misses on this deluxe slash, I don't know what to call it, the estate sale. That's what I'm going to stick with. But yeah, a couple of those songs have been in my rotation still, like Dogtooth and Sorry Not Sorry. Those are my favorites probably. The next one is, this is kind of ridiculous because it kind of just came out. Tory Lanez' Deluxe for Alone at Prom. I'm just so confident about this pick because I've had it on repeat since it came out, and these are definitely some of my favorite songs of the year. So I'm pretty confident that like a couple years down the road, I'll still remember these songs. So I thought it deserved to at least be mentioned in this video, but I'm not going to say a whole lot about it. Because it is a deluxe, so I wasn't sure if I should even include it. Next honorable mention, Olivia Rodrigo's Guts. That definitely surprised me. If you go and watch my reaction video to it, I didn't even really like it at first, but then I grew to really respect it in the songwriting, and it's definitely top tier production. And like, you can't deny that she's talented, like a talented vocalist, along with her writing. And most importantly, I don't think she was considered to have a sophomore slump, I think people call it, where her second album flops. So it's really hard to overcome that. And the last one I wanted to mention was Austin by Post Malone. And that's just because he definitely took a risk. He went a different route with this album, and I did react to the entire album on the channel, but the whole thing got blocked, so I'm so sorry you guys couldn't see my reaction to that. But a lot of these songs really surprised me, and I really see where he's going in his career, and I kind of like it. He's kind of playing to his strengths. He's just being himself now, which is really cool because you can tell he's happy with the music he's making. And like Chemical and Morning, there's a lot of hits that have been on the radio and I've just heard in public, and it's been a nice surprise. So all right, let's get into the top 10 finally. I know that took a little longer than I wanted for the honorable mentions, but coming in at my number 10 spot, a lot of you guys won't know this album, but it's Fun Hate by Duro. Now, Duro is one of my close friends, so I am biased. I'm not going to act like I'm not. I also dropped a collab tape with him this year. But this album is the best pop album I've heard from just anyone in general this year. And I'm putting him at 10 because I am biased. So, I mean, I have a couple pop albums on here, and I think this one is better. I do. I think he's insanely underrated. All of these songs have been stuck in my head at some point, and you guys will not be disappointed if you take the time to go and listen to it. I can't even describe the genre. It is pop, like the umbrella genre of pop, but he goes so many directions with it, and it's borderline like it kind of crosses into EDM at points, and there's just so many hits on this. But number 9. I really wrestled with this one. I was not sure if I should include this. A lot of you are going to roll your eyes, but number 9 is For All the Dogs by Drake. This album I was not impressed with at first, but I would be lying if I said I didn't enjoy the album for what it is. There is like 6 or 7 songs out of like I don't know, like 23, and then he added like 6 more on or something. There's at least 8 songs that I have in my rotation. That reaction got blocked as well, I should say. A large part of my reaction was like trashing on the fact that all of the songs kind of like blended together, and it was like very saturated, and it was way too long for what it had to offer. But those 7 or 8 songs that I enjoy will stick with me for years, and I know that for a fact. So I had to include it on this year, because I think by definition, if you come back to songs from an album like years down the road, it deserves to be like one of the best albums for that year. For All the Dogs, I think my favorite is definitely First Person Shooter. That video should be the video of the year as well. That was just such a cool moment, and Drake and J. Cole fans have been waiting for that for a long, long time. And I also like the Party Next Door song as well. I didn't even like that song because I cringed at so many bars when I heard that for the first time, but there's a lot of melodies on that really get stuck in my head. And the last one I'll mention is Amen featuring Tizo Touchdown, and then also Tizo Touchdown's part on whatever the song with the number in the title is. That one is it's been in my head for a long time. So, but yeah, that's all I'll say about that one. We got number 8, Lil Uzi Vert, Pink Tape. This was a crazy, just unexpected thing that happened this year. I saw this on tour as well. I've been waiting since 2016 to see Lil Uzi Vert live, but I was the most hyped I've ever been to go to a concert, because I was supposed to see him at Soundset in Minneapolis in 2016, and he missed his flight. And so Lil Uzi is definitely one of my favorite artists in like the past decade. I've listened to him for so long, and I finally got to see it. And a lot of those songs on that album are bangers, and so the mosh pits were crazy. And then the one with Don Toliver was also that's been in my rotation. That's probably my favorite on the album, because it's just so catchy, and it sounds so good in the car, like driving at night. And there's just, at the back half of the album, he gets like introspective too, which is something I've never heard from Uzi, really. A couple times, I guess, and then the Baby Metal song, that was definitely one of my favorite moments from my reaction channel this year. So definitely go watch the Pink Tape reaction if you haven't, because I think that's a really funny video. All right, number 7 is Scaring the Hoes by JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown. This was a long time ago. I reacted to this. What was that, January? I don't know. It was at the beginning of the year, but this album surprised me so much. Like, I didn't know what to expect going into this, because I don't think I listened. I think I heard snippets of the singles, but like going into it, I hadn't really listened to the singles closely. But That album is crazy. All the production and just everything. And I still listen to some of the songs in constant rotation. So let me see. What are my favorite songs? Scaring the Hose is definitely one of my favorite songs, the title track. And then Garbage Pail Kids. And then the last one is Perfect. Those are my favorites. And I listen to those a lot. So, and just a whole, like every song, I don't think there's a miss. I really don't think there's a miss. So, yeah, that deserved to be number 7. Some people might even have that higher. In fact, a lot of people who listen to hip hop probably have that higher. But this isn't my hip hop albums of the year. This is every genre. So I think it's deserving of that 7th spot. Whoa, number 6. We got this bad boy. 100 gecs. Oh, shit. I guess it wanted you guys to see the color of the vinyl. But yeah, 100 gecs. I've been waiting a long time for this album to come out, and it did not disappoint. Definitely the most different genre of music on this list. A lot of you guys are probably hip-hop fans and probably don't like 100 gecs. You probably only know them from like Money Machine and like crazy tracks like that. But they definitely took a different direction with this, and I heard a lot of leaks leading up to this, so I knew what genre to expect, but they kind of dipped their toe into rock, and just, it's so short. This album is way too short. It needed to be longer, and that was my only gripe about it. That was the only thing I docked it on, because every single song is so different from each other, and it's the most entertaining listen you will ever have listening to an album. Like, if you're not entertained, you might not like every song, but you cannot deny it's entertaining. And I think that's exactly what an album should do, because the few songs on the album that you do end up liking, it's worth it. And even if you don't like the songs, at least they're entertaining. So I think my favorites on it are, okay, first of all, you guys got to see this. This is the coolest art that I've ever had in a vinyl. Look at this. That is insane. Just the font and all the credits and stuff. I think my favorite is probably 757 Frog on the Floor and Hollywood Baby. Oh, and Dumbest Girl Alive. There's not many misses, to be honest. But yeah, I have it on vinyl, and I think it's hilarious because it's an album that should never be printed on vinyl. All right, enough about that one. Coming in at number 5, one of the pop albums I mentioned earlier. It is Desire, I Want to Turn Into You by Caroline Polachek. And I have heard a lot of talk about this album being in people's top 10 of 2023, and I would fully agree. Definitely one of the albums that surprised me the most, because I was just barely familiar with Caroline before this year. So Hot You're Hurting My Feelings. I've heard that song, and that was kind of my introduction to her. But the first, what is this? The first 4 songs on the album are like insane. Like, those are my 4 favorite songs on the album. So it's such a strong start. And I'm the type of listener who just listens to albums all the way through. And so when I start this album, I listen to those first 4 bangers, and it just motivates me to listen to the rest of it. And then I Believe is one of my favorites as well. And then honestly, the album kind of falls off towards the end, but it's just a different vibe. I wouldn't say I dislike the songs. It's just different. And she's very versatile. Her vocals are amazing. I'd say Welcome to My Island is my favorite song, and the Charlie XCX remix is incredible. One of my favorite songs of the year. That might be on my top 10 list that I make here. So stay tuned for that video. It should be coming this week as well. Sunset is amazing as well. Bunny is a Rider. Like, so many good songs on that. Number 4. We're getting into the heavy hitters. These are albums that I listen to at least 4 or 5 of the songs like daily. I'm dead serious. And this number 4 album is one of the albums that surprised me the most the entire year. It is How Do You Sleep at Night by Tizo Touchdown. Yes. This was something I was looking forward to for a while because Tizo has featured on so many big songs in the past few years, and I was really looking forward to his debut. I think a large reason this album has stuck with me so much is because it's short. That's the key, guys. A lot of the albums I reacted to this year on the channel were way too long, and I just like kind of just disregarded the last half of the album because it's so long and my attention span just isn't there anymore. But all 14 of these songs are very different from one another. They're either a storytelling track, or they just have another concept to them, or it dips into another genre, or just so many different things to listen for on this. I think like 9 or 10 of these songs have been stuck in my head at some point. If you just going through it, like okay is such a crazy way to start an album. And I thought it was going to be like a rap album going into it. So that just shook me right there. And then You Thought kind of did the same thing. So it was like dark towards the beginning. And then is my favorite on the whole album, followed by Sweet, which is my second favorite. So that run of tracks just makes me listen to the whole album. Just like the Caroline Polachek one. I start listening to the album, the first 4 are like the best on the whole album. And so I just keep listening to it. And that's what really makes albums like grow on me. Neighborhood is something I slightly missed in my reaction, like the whole story. But that storytelling song is incredible. If you actually like know exactly what happens and why. It's really cool. Impossible is so uplifting. Mood Swings is crazy. I hear it all the time on that Taco Bell commercial. Too Easy could be played at like stadiums. Too easy. Like that's so crazy. But yeah, just every song. All right, we got Dominic Fike's Sunburn. This was another album I was looking forward to for a very long time. Very highly anticipated album. He hadn't come out with an album since 2020. And so his fan base was like craving this for the longest time. I reacted to this on the channel, and it is public, and I kind of trashed it a little bit. Not a whole lot, but like I was kind of turned off by some of the songs, like Mama's Boy. Lots of people were trashing me in the comments for not liking that song. It's still annoying as hell. I that's definitely it's a skip, honestly. That's the only skip on the album for me. All the other songs, so different from one another. Once again, like the first, I'm not a big fan of Sick, but other than that, like the first 7 tracks on the album are like all my favorite. And then we got Sunburn, which is amazing as well, and Frisky, which was one of my, I think that was my like 6th or 7th most listened to song this year, and that's just because it stayed in my on repeat playlist. That's not even, I wouldn't even consider that one of my favorites on the album, which is crazy. That just goes to show how good of an album it is. I think How Much Is Weed is my favorite on the whole album, and then Dancing in the Courthouse, and then Mona Lisa. Mona Lisa is the biggest song that grew on me. I trashed that one in my reaction, I remember. So I will admit when I'm wrong on this channel. That song is crazy. And then Dark is still really good, and he ends it with that acoustic track, which is incredible. But Dominic Fike, if you haven't seen him live, guys, he is probably the best performer of our generation. He does everything. All of his songs are different versions when he does it live. He plays with vocal effects. He plays guitar when he does it. Like, if you can, please comment below who your favorite live performer is. Like currently in this day and age, because I highly doubt anyone's as good as Dominic Fike when it comes to just pure talent. Number 2 is something I didn't react to on the channel, and I regret it. This is my biggest regret for the channel of the whole year. It's Let's Start Here by Lil Yachty. I reacted to Say Something, like the music video, but I didn't do the whole album, and I should have. But this was the biggest surprise in all of hip hop this year. I stand by that. The just let me pull up the track list because there's so many good songs on this. It's perfect for a road trip. I listened to this on so many road trips this year. Just it starts with the Black Seminole. That's crazy. That is like the best intro to an album in years that comes to mind at least. And then The Ride and Running Out of Time and Pretty are all three, like those are three of my favorites on the whole album. A lot of people say they don't like Pretty or Say Something. Like people say those are the worst songs on the album, and I disagree. And I've heard that at least 3 or 4 times. So don't comment saying no one thinks that, because I've heard that like from 4 separate entities throughout the year. So I just don't understand, because those are just the biggest vibes in my opinion. They're kind of like Poland because he uses that inflection, you know. But then you get cuts like We Saw the Sun, Into Drive Me Crazy, and I've Officially Lost Vision. Like those 3 songs, that's a journey, man. Like I feel transported somewhere else when I'm listening to that. And then it's kind of split up by Say Something, but then the run where it goes Paint the Sky, Should I Be, and The Alchemist, they just blend right into each other, and you can't even tell the song switches. It's like a play with acts almost. Like they're separate acts. And it's really fun to listen to, but this is the perfect album to just listen to front to back. I'll probably end up getting it on vinyl. Because this is just a really good vinyl album to listen to, I feel like. But yeah, I would say my favorite on the whole album is Say Something. People are going to disagree with that. And then the Black Seminole and Running Out of Time. But I don't think there's a single miss on that album. And it's definitely one of my most listened to albums of the whole year. All right, we're finally at number 1. And I bet a lot of people can probably guess what it is, because I reacted to it on the channel and I've been listening to it ever since. It is Utopia by Travis Scott. There's so many reasons this is my favorite album of the year. The fan base has waited so long, too long, 5 years. And I know he had the whole like Astro World disaster shit happening. So that kind of postponed the album, and just so many things he has going on, like with his different businesses and stuff. But yeah, guys, we waited so long for this. My expectations were really low, honestly. I was like, there's no way this can live up to the hype, because people were like crazy about this coming out. Everyone was like, oh my god, this is going to be the best album in the decade. And I was like, no way. I think I even say that in my reaction. I'm like, my expectations are low because the hype is so high. And this album just blew me away. Like once again, I sound like a record on repeat, but when an album starts this strong, it's just an immediate album of the year for me, because I listened to the first 8 songs here and it motivates me to listen to the rest of it. I am not a fan of Del Resto by Beyonce. I think that's the first miss on the album. It's just like, so I see what he was going for, because it's like really hypnotic. It puts you in a trance kind of, but I just don't like the vibe, and some of the melodies just hit me wrong. Hyena, Thank God, Modern Jam, My Eyes, God's Country, Sirens, Meltdown, Fiend. That is like the best 8-track run in years on any album, any genre, in my opinion. Every single one of those songs is so different from one another. Starting the album with Hyena is incredible. That was like the most jolting thing ever. And then Thank God, when the beat switches, that is one of my favorite moments of the whole year in music. And then we got Tizo Touchdown with an incredible feature on Modern Jam that like samples one of my favorite songs. It's I Am a God. That's what it samples. And then speaking of that, on Circus Maximus, he samples Black Skinhead as well. So I mean, those are some of my favorite rap songs of all time. And then we get to I Know, which is my favorite song on the album. I'll say it. That is like old Travis. It's so catchy. It actually has the most plays on the whole album on Spotify. That's crazy. I thought people were sleeping on that. That song is also my alarm in the morning, which is a funny fact because like that piano at the beginning is actually a pretty good alarm. I'm not gonna lie. It never. I always turn it off before it gets to the drop, so it's not a bad alarm. But yeah, and then honestly, the album kind of dips after that. Utopia Twins has really grown on me though. Circus Maximus and Parasail are not my favorite. The Young Thug feature on Schizo, along with all the beat switches, is hella entertaining, insane. And then West Side Gun's feature, incredible. Love is kind of a skip for me. K-pop's kind of a skip. And then the whole reason I'm going through the entire track list is because I finally get to Telekinesis, which is probably my favorite song of the year. That is just, I was not expecting SZA and Future to be on that. You can watch my reaction. My reaction to SZA coming in was pretty hilarious. But yeah, that is probably my favorite song of the year. It's so beautiful, and it's just so different as well. Yeah, guys, that kind of summarizes why Utopia is my album of the year. And I feel like a lot of people will probably agree with that. I probably won't get to see it on tour because he's not coming to Minneapolis, which pisses me off because Drake didn't come here either. I feel like it's the place to be if you're going to come anywhere in the Midwest. You know, like people go to Chicago, obviously, when they're trying to hit the Midwest. But like that's such a long drive for me. And I mean, Minnesota is just so much more central. So, I mean, I understand why people skip it because it's not the most populated place with the like bordering states and everything. I would really like to know your guys' favorite albums and which ones I missed because I really haven't seen many lists yet about the top albums of the year. I think people kind of tend to do that towards the middle or end of December. So I'm kind of ahead of the curve, but I didn't really have anything going on this weekend, so I wanted to get this rolling. If you're not subscribed yet, definitely subscribe so you can hear my top 10 songs of the year. I highly doubt anyone's watching this who isn't a subscriber already because if you're not familiar with my content, like why do you care about my opinion, you know? So yeah, definitely subscribe if you haven't. Overall, I think 2023 was kind of a weak year for hip hop. That's the main genre I listen to. And I think it's just because a lot of big hip hop artists nowadays are branching out to different genres like Lil Yachty or like even people consider Dominic Fike a rapper. So, I mean, it's just kind of like branching out into pop and other genres. So that's probably why. But overall, it was a great year for music. I got a lot of albums I will listen to for years to come. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next Friday when new music drops. I do that every single Friday. Not this Friday because I was gone and I was making this list and my previous one. So I will see you next Friday for some new music. All right, guys. Peace.